way I got on Real World was that I was protesting MTV.
What?
Yeah, there was a show that was on back in the day called Pimp My Ride.
Yeah, I remember Pimp My Ride. Yeah.
And I was
that Exhibit?
Yeah, with Exhibit.
Yeah.
And so I had just got out of college, and so I was working at this nonprofit, and I had to run the after school program in it. And my kids, because I moved to LA, and my kids were stealing from cars to like put things on like their cars. And so my young mind was like, this is not like what I know now would be like, let me talk to their parents. I need to figure out where they are emotionally and mentally because they feel like they're not enough and they have to show off. And like, now my thought, but back then I was like, it's Exhibit.
Yeah, we're going straight to Exhibit.
Like, bad influence.
Like it's MTV's fault. Like, you know?
You weren't wrong. You were just,
influence.
It's a top-down mentality.
Yeah.
And so being young, I was like, I got together like about 10 of the families, one of my other coworkers. We made poster boards.
This is the best story we've ever heard on the podcast.
It's real. And I went out there, my boyfriend, we made posters all night, and we went out there to...
what did they say? What exactly
They were like, that protester is gorgeous. We have to get it. Have you seen that, guys? Have you seen that protester?
Well, kind of. They came out. They came outside, and they were like, who organized this? And I was like, me and my boyfriend. And they were like, hold on, young, gay, black, activist-y,
tall,
angry,
model.
Oh, they were like, and so they invited me back the next.
How can we monetize this protest?
Yeah, how can we monetize this crazy that we're seeing in front of us? And then they were like, come back the next day. And they were like, you can.
This is so.
You put away
so
your
I went
protest
home.
signs. You're like,
Yeah, they were like, come back the next day and we'll talk to you. And so I went home and I created the best 20-page PowerPoint you've ever seen with transitions. I worked on that shit all night. Like, and this is before you could just get on the internet and like grab stuff.
Yeah,
like this is 2004. So like to download the images, I was and got there the next day, ready to tell them like how to save our kids and how to help them. And they were like, actually, this is a casting for the Real World. And I threw that PowerPoint to the side and never thought about
never
the
mind
show
the
ever
kids.
again.
I don't know
The
what
second
kids.
hot tub.
Exactly. I don't know where those kids are today. I was like, and it was so funny how quickly my mind went from like save the kids to like I can be on reality TV and it was a short casting because like I was clearly a nut, and so they it was like the shortest casting. It was 4 weeks, and they were like, you're on the show.
Wow.
So 4 weeks from protesting, I was heading to Philadelphia to shoot.
Amazing.
I literally never thought about those children again.
Wow.
And the funny part is when we got on the Real World, because they got us jobs that were with our personalities. My job was to work with kids, and I was pissed.
I left these.
I didn't leave my real world, the Real World, to go on the Real World and work with kids. I was like, over it. So the entire time I was an asshole when we were building them. We were supposed to build them a playground, these underprivileged kids, and I was an asshole the entire time. So I was like, I don't build a freaking playground. I was like, can we get back to the house?
I want a model.
I want a model. I want to go out. And but it's just so crazy how again, like I was in this role, and then like the minute like an opportunity to drink and hang out came, I was like,
for all of our young listeners, The Real World was, I think, like the first reality TV show, the first popular one.
It definitely was the first. There technically was one before it called like it was this family back in the like the 70s.
Oh.
Only reason I know this is they made an HBO. I auditioned for the role to play this kid in and he was gay. He was technically the first openly gay person.
So he's
I
taking
think.
that away from
anything
you.
That no,
I was the first gay, a black one, first gay black.
Yes,
one.
yes. So this kid, but there's just like one family that predates it all. But then they didn't. But then there was nothing like it again, and I cannot remember the name of this family. But like anybody who is 60 knows this.
This isn't the Robinson Crusoe,
No,
right?
no.
This is amazing. I didn't know about this.
This is and they made an HBO series about this, and I'm pretty sure James Gandolfini was in it. It was Anyway, the only reason I remember is because I really wanted that role. And I really went. It was like, it's interesting because it was like the seed of reality television that now kind of nobody knows about.
Yeah.
Because it didn't then actually happen again until the
real
real world. So the real
yeah.
world really was the first one that anybody knows.
This is fascinating. I've never heard about this.
Yeah.
Now I'm
Let me
gonna
look this
on
up.
the
Let me look it
plane
up.
looking it up. Yeah.
Well, Penn
we
looks
cut
this
out
up.
the silence.
So the tagline for the real world is what happens when people stop being polite and start getting real? Was that
Yes. Yeah. That's
and,
it. Yeah.
And there wasn't really like like now there's like the Bachelor or the Real Housewives, like there's like a theme, but this was really just seven strangers living together.
7 strangers. It was
in a
7
really
strangers
nice
put in a house to see what happens when they stop being polite and start acting
getting-
real. The real
yeah.
world. I love you.
And I think now we have a sense that they're kind of scripted, but it felt like the real world wasn't. And I'm just curious, was it a little bit scripted? Like how much were producers involved? How much was it just very real?
So if I can be honest with you, I don't feel like it was scripted. From my experience, it wasn't scripted. And the reason I say that is because, okay, maybe it was scripted in the sense of like the scenarios they put us in. So they knew like, we're going to bring them to a bar. We know we're going to do this. But it was, I mean, like, they just were good at putting personalities in the house that they knew would clash. Like, they put you against somebody who they knew would like trigger you. And to this day, when people ask me for advice on how to get a reality television and they have all these things, I'm always like, you need to go in there and tell these people 3 people or 3 things that trigger you. Like, what are the things that upset you? Because when they're casting you against someone. So if you're going in there talking about how amazing I am and all these things, you're not getting past round 1. But if they can start to build a scene of being like, okay, well, he said that his mother was an alcoholic and he hates alcoholics, and we're gonna put him with this woman who's an alcoholic.
Wow.
That's what it is. And so I'm like, the more, and this is to this day, if somebody wants a tip on getting cast on reality television, here it is. Go with your top 3 things that are going to trigger you and push those, because those are things that are going to cast you against with someone else.
Wow. Go in with all your problems.
Go in with all your problems. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Okay, so I found out it's such an iconic name too, Lance Loud. Has anybody ever heard of
No.
And it's the Loud family. That was their surname, and it was in 1973.
Wow.
And it was a PBS series called An American Family. This is very interesting because I've literally never before or after ever heard anyone mention this family. It was a series. It was like, I think it got nominated for a few Emmys or whatever. So it's a thing. But very interesting. That's
amazing.
Sort of like this kid. I mean, it was a big cultural moment. He's sort of like, your quiet predecessor, and a lot of people don't talk about. Lance Loud, and it was.
That's pretty amazing, because in the 70s to be openly gay on a reality program on PBS, when PBS in the 70s was an NBC station,
right.
Wow.
I know. So it is interesting that it. But then again, like nothing really ever. There was not even another reality show that I can think of until The Real World. I'm pretty sure there wasn't another one. So this, and by the way, this was a documentary series. So back then, I think they didn't even. Yeah, it wasn't even like you would think of it as television. It was. It was really its own.
It's different from a reality show, kind of. Yeah. It's a docu-series.
Wow.
And this guy Lance Loud was really an interesting icon. I that was until I played Jeff Buckley. That was. Probably the role I can remember as a teenager, as a teen and like young adult wanting the most. Didn't get it.
What was it like for you when you left? Because, now reality TV is really established, but I'm trying to think, like, how would people have treated you like kind of a celebrity, but it's also something that the audience isn't used to, like a famous person who's famous for being themselves. So I'm just curious, like, how did that change your relationships with people in the public? How did it change your view on yourself? Like, how did you process all of that?
Oh my gosh, it was the worst thing ever. I hated coming off The Real World. The day that they told us we were going home, I cried, and in hindsight, I wasn't crying because of my castmates. I was crying because I realized that something was about to change, because you start to get the sense of it when you're walking around a city and people see with the cameras and how rude people were. And so I knew something negative was coming. My intuition knew something bad was coming, and it came like a storm.
Wow.
Because to be 23 and have the world only tell you who you are is the worst moments that were edited.
Wow.
Yeah, that's huge.
forever
That's
was
huge.
depressing.
Yeah.
It just made me sad. No matter
So
what you
sad.
did, you were only that moment.
Did you feel used?
I felt betrayed. I didn't feel used.
Okay,
I felt betrayed. I felt betrayed because the adults that were there, I felt like they should have told me what was about to happen. I mean, I was on season 15, so you had 15 seasons to warn me that like this is going to be a shit show.